Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. We don't need any weather update. Look outside your window. It's beautiful and sunny. This is really nice. We just want to get cracking. We'll give you a little bit of a weather update afterwards.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
And today, what are we going to talk about, Safiya? How to improve your mental well-being. Well, we're going to try to give some advice that we try to follow ourselves.
Inshallah. And also, the important thing is that we're going to try and connect it with the tools from Islam that we get from Allah Ta'ala and the hadith as well of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So, Angela, you've got some really interesting little bit to read us. So let's get going and then we'll see what our listeners think about it.
Ti sevdemon, o to men soma iis, tin then psychin evporos, ti then physin evpedeftos. Now what could this possibly mean?
This was your daily Greek lesson, the classical Greek lesson.
From the Greek philosopher Thales, meaning what man is happy? He who has a healthy body, a resourceful mind, and a docile nature, basically is the man that is happy. And you, Safiya?
That's really, I just love it. We found this quote in Greek because I was looking for, you know, that saying, a healthy mind and a healthy body. It's kind of an old adage. A lot of people say this, but I was curious to know where it was actually coming from. And I found, obviously, that for me, it was coming from a French philosopher from the 18th century or 17th century. Obviously, digging a little bit further, you realize that, you know, it comes from a little bit earlier than that. There was a mention, obviously, of that Greek philosopher Thales, and I thought it's lovely. Angela being Greek, alhamdulillah, you know, what best for her to just read it in her own language. So beautiful as well. And I found that it was also found, so that was about, I don't know, 6th century, before modern era, before modern era, and but it was also found in a poem by a Roman poet called Juvenal, and that was in the 2nd century modern era, and it says, "You should pray for a healthy mind in a healthy body. Ask for a stout heart that has no fear of death, and deems length of days the least of nature's gifts that can endure any kind of toil." So I thought that was quite a beautiful way to start, and not necessarily a traditional way to start with Hadith and Quran, but we thought to bring it to show basically the seeking peace, seeking happiness, seeking to be away from stresses of life is a kind of a natural thing for human beings, and it's not new.
No,
and it's not recent.
All the different cultures. Interestingly,
this morning on the news there was a mention that the world's oldest man died today or yesterday, age 113, in Spain, I think Spain, and he had said that his secret to his long life was to live a quiet life and not hurt anyone.
MashaAllah.
There you go.
And that
isn't that just what
when people ask
Islam is about?
They ask mostly they want to hear what he was eating, as if that is gonna increase your lifespan. Yeah, which we know.
But Spain, most likely Mediterranean diet, healthy, fresh food, vegetables.
But still, it increased his health. I don't think it can increase your lifespan.
No, and anyway, it's all in the hands of Allah, as we know. But I think, you know, if you're healthier, you're less likely to have, you know, damages to your cells, as we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, about the healthy cells, etc. And then obviously the rest is what has been decreed by Allah. So you know, as we say, you tie your camel and then you make dua.
Exactly.
And tying your camel is what we're going to talk about today. So over time, that sentence has come to mean different things, hasn't it, Angela?
Yeah, it means it can lead that the only healthy mind can lead from a healthy body, the only healthy body can produce or sustain a healthy mind. So it's like kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. If you want to have a healthy body, you must start with your mind, and the other way around. To have a healthy mind, you must have a healthy body.
Yeah, I think so too. That
You just can't
linked.
separate them.
They are inextricably linked.
And as Muslims, we have a lot of tools on our hands. Obviously, to me, Islam is the ultimate program for improving your life and your mindset, right? If only we'd use it. Like, Islam includes everything from eating, so you're fasting and things, and how to think about things. So Islam is like a program, if you can say that. I hope nobody gets offended by that. It's just a matter of, in this day and age where we're always looking for a program to improve ourselves, Islam is it, right? So what do we have? What tools do we have in Islam? We have to read the Quran, to do dhikr, to read the stories of the Sahaba and the Prophet for inspiration. Mashallah. There's du'as for almost everything now. It's not just religious. I know we don't understand Arabic most of the time, so when we read it, we're kind of disconnected. So I do advocate people to make an effort with Arabic. I'm saying that to me too. In order so we're not so disconnected. We're not reading something we don't know. It's not like a magic formula. It's something that if you don't read with meaning, it doesn't touch your heart. So how can it be heartfelt? That's why I guess it's recommended that you should read the du'as in your language so you can put that feeling in it. Otherwise, without feeling, how you don't even know what you're reading.
Yeah,
like your mind wanders.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
and at the same time, make an effort to learn Arabic, to connect it.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, when we talk about the names of Allah and making dhikr, it's also that sort of melody to the sounds, and we know that sounds impact your body, your cells, the vibrations, the waves. They're not anodyne. They are really impacting you in these ways, and to so repeat certain names of Allah. You're ill and you say Ya Shafi, it's like soothing, and it's vibrating in a certain way, and Ya Salam, As-salam. All of these sounds have really different impact. You can feel them inside you, and it's still important to understand you have to have a combination of intellect and sort of spirituality and different level, subconscious, etc. I think for everything to work together.
It works together. We can't take one without the other. And we must make that effort.
And what I found as well when I was when I first became a Muslim, obviously one of the things I did was to try and learn some of the names of Allah and try and understand them. And I find that to do both, so understanding, learning it in Arabic, then repeating it, then also reading different explanations from different scholars as to what they actually meant, the deeper meaning. Yeah, it really, really helped to understand how they can inspire me, those names, how Allah can be on my side when I was in times of difficulty, of worry maybe, or just needing guidance. And to know when you say, Allah, the most loving, the most kind, the most generous, the most forgiving, the most compassionate, you're like, wow, he's just there to give us, just come and take. It's there just for you to pick and use. So that dhikr, and just by reciting the names of Allah, obviously the first thing, as you said, was Quran, reading the Quran,
and really connecting to it with what you're reading. So if you don't know what it says, then at least try to read some translation. But you must bring connection to what you're saying. It can't be empty words, and that's probably one. We'll talk more about how that works. That's why gratitude works. But the other tool we have is dua. We have duas for all sorts of things, for ailments, for stress, for poverty. Mashallah. This dua for illness is Allahumma Rabba an-Nasi adhibi al-basa Rabba an-Nasi wa shafi anta ash-shafi la shifaa illa shifaa'uka shifaa'un la yughadiru saqama. Now, I hope Allah will accept this dua.
I mean, you know that the more you struggle,
pronunciation,
every letter you get so many rewards.
I'm told, mashallah, my husband always reminds me that.
I hope this doesn't motivate you to not improve.
No,
because it's like, oh, I get more reward if I struggle.
No,
because my reading is not even not as good as yours
now, and I'm taking tajweed. Yeah. Finally, the kids have grown and I have time to improve everything that.
This is a struggle of a convert, an adult life, live on radio. You can see exactly how it feels. Alhamdulillah. So if you can read Arabic fluently, just give thanks to Allah. It's
if you
such
practice,
a blessing.
It comes more fluently.
Definitely.
So we're basically, the dua means, "O Allah, Lord of the people, remove all harm, give cure, for you are the one who cures. There is no cure except your cure, a curing that leaves no illness." MashaAllah, what a beautiful dua. It's from Buhari for anyone who interested in references.
Very relevant to what we're living at the moment. But anything, any little illness or difficulty, physical difficulty that you're going through, mental difficulty, anything, just read that dua.
The thing is, if you notice, for mental health, right, we need something outside of ourselves. When we have Allah in Islam tells us how to approach Allah, mashallah. And when I hear about people trying to convince you there is no God, I always think, so what are you offering in return? Because if you take from us God and you don't believe in God, then when you have a problem, where do you go to? What do you do? Because Allah is there if you would sit and think a bit, right? The proof is there. You just have to think about, like Prophet Ibrahim, how he realized, there's Allah, and he's like an example, right? But without Allah, what do you have? So, to me, your mental health can only get better if you try to go to find different tools that Islam offers, that other people are using them too. Like, say, for the next tool we have written is gratitude. You said alhamdulillah, beautiful word. But other people, I've read different books, mental health and mindset books, and even though they are not Muslim, they actually encourage people to be grateful. Now they encourage you to be grateful to the universe, but even the universe is God's creation, so I kind of laugh. But they have the right idea, but they don't intend it to the right entity. Like the universe is just the source
of reward. Yeah, this is the thing. It's recently, the last probably 20-30 years, there's been a lot of emphasis on the benefits of gratitude, hasn't there? Now if you do read any of these books, as you said, they would come with gratitude being one of the top ways to increase your mental happiness and physical health as well. And you're like, but that was, and even if you look at it, it's not just in Islam. It was before the teaching of Isa alayhi salam and Musa and all prophets. Obviously, it's obvious because there's only one source of knowledge, and the Creator, there's only one, so He will always send the same message to everyone. So gratitude, I find this really intriguing, because when you think about it, just saying thank you to someone, Allah says, isn't it, a hadith Qudsi, it says, you have not said be truly grateful if you haven't said thank you to the person who's helped you, or something. I'm really paraphrasing, please forgive me, but it's the idea that basically don't just say, oh, thank you Allah, and then someone's really gone bend over backwards to help you do something, say thank you to them. There's nothing wrong with thanking another human being.
If you look at it that way, then if I do something for my children, but they think, oh, well, Allah made you do it, or I don't know, they don't say thank you to you. We shouldn't be doing things for the thanks. But we're human beings. Allah made us this way. It's good to hear it. It improves relationships. So
it's the feedback, isn't it? Straight away you get that feedback. You've done something. It makes you feel good because you've been generous with your time or your or whatever, and you hear the thanks at how much it's helped the other person.
And like I'll give you an example. Like a child should say thanks, mom, because even though in this day and age, kids are told, well, you didn't ask to be born. So whatever your parents do, they have to do it. Actually, that's kind of a poisonous mindset. And we can get into that another time. But the thing is, even if that's true, you should still say thank you. And if your husband does something, anything,
your wife. Your wife.
It's his children to your wife, but because we're women. As a wife, you need to pick up on the little things. Say thank you. That was very nice of you, right? And take it separate it from how they will take it, instead of you're doing it for yourself too, and for Allah to be happy with you. He wants us to be thankful, right? Not if they are thankful to you back, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Sometimes people just take things for granted. They say, "Oh, as you said, family. You tend to sometimes forget." Like husbands do say thank you to your wives when she cooked you. It's always okay. It's always the same. It's every day. Say, I'm generalizing traditional, ways of doing things. She's cooked you dinner, but vice versa. If your husband, you've been busy, he's cooked you something, he's done something, or say thank you to each other. Don't sometimes daily life gets in the way, you're just getting so used to having people around you and doing things. Say thank you to your children for taking the bins out, or that sort of things, basically.
When they're making their room, even though they could be doing more, say thank you for keeping your room clean. Right? Even though you feel like as a parent you shouldn't, but we are Muslim, we have to take it back to Islam. Yes, you should say thank you as a parent to your kids.
Yes, very, very true.
Because you're being a role model. Are we going to now take a break because it's the Adhan that's coming up, and then we'll come back to you with more tips on how to improve your mental health. And we're back.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So we were basically talking about how our mental well-being can be improved just using the tools of Islam, but there's an aspect we'd like to expand a little bit more, apart from Quran, dhikr, reciting the names of Allah, that sort of things, and inspiring yourself from the seerah and the stories of the prophets, alayhim salam. We'd like to talk a little bit more about
dua, the purpose of dua, and basically a little bit more on, everybody makes duas, right? But we want to just outline it a little bit in more detail in case young people are listening, or people who don't know about duas, like if somebody.
And sometimes, even when you do know, and you've been a Muslim for so long, you're an adult, etc. Don't we just forget so easily sometimes to just use the simple tools? We're like, I feel so overwhelmed, and someone says, just make dua, and you're like,
it's a good reminder. But I've also heard, unfortunately, that there's Muslims who discourage duas for supposedly little things, and because they think, Allah's not going to care about this little problem of yours, why are you making dua? When in fact, later after I heard that, I read about a hadith, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ encouraging us to make dua even for your shoelace. If you lose your shoelace, so what's the most
trifle
thing than a shoelace? And there you go. That just answered what I heard.
And we'll see exactly why it's encouraged.
So
So what does dua, making dua do then?
We're gonna start with, you need to know what you're asking Allah. Nothing. You don't sit there. Okay, you're gonna make some duas. Hopefully you know what you're reading, but then you're gonna connect to Allah personally, right? So you're gonna focus. You have something on your mind, and you want Allah to help you with it. So let's just talk about my mental health. I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling depressed. I'm worried about a specific thing.
Overwhelmed.
So you put that in your mind. You know, you formulate your goal clearly. You state this is your problem and you want help with it, and then you start making decisions after you make that dua. You know, you're because once you have intention, right? I have a problem, and you're asking Allah. Then after that, the answers will be coming to you. Right after that, it's because it's like attracting the solutions. Maybe they were there all along. It's just you didn't see them until you clarified your goal.
Yeah, it's I've got a few examples, trivial examples about that, but I'll just let you continue.
And then you express what you want to achieve. Like, this is what you want, so you say it in your dua, right? And who is the best to listen to you than Allah? I mean, He's not going to say what you're saying is trifle. He's not going to tell you, how dare you bring this problem to me. He wants to hear you. In fact, we know that Allah wants us to keep coming back to Him for anything. He never gets tired, unlike people who, if you ask them too many times something, they'll get impatient with you, or they'll think they're going to spoil you if they help you. If they keep helping you, you keep thinking about them in maybe a negative way. Allah never does. So, Safiya, tell me something
it's like
that connects to this.
Trivial examples, you know, for instance, for my children from a young age, I used to, you know, they lose things that are really dear to them. Their teddy bear, their favorite toy, whatever it is, something that they're really, and you can see they are absolutely bereft. And you're like, okay, it's okay. Look what we'll do. We'll make dua to Allah. If it's good for you, you will find it. And it's like absolutely guaranteed you will find it if it's good for you. Maybe Allah's got another, or maybe it's better for you to lose it so you can move on to something else potentially, okay? But that assurance that whatever happens is the best thing for you, that's the number one thing you have to instill in your children. And so we used to make the dua, which is, oh Allah, help me find that which I have lost, the way you will reunite me with that which I have lost, the way you reunite us on the day of judgment. I mean, so it's like, you know, little mantra I used to say with the children. And and subhanallah, well, Allah, it's amazing, wallahi, it's so many times.
It increases their iman as little children, right?
But you know what, within a few seconds sometimes, where we've been looking and desperately, you know, turning things over and just like, I can't find it. And it's just there. It's as if it appears by magic. And I think what happened, what happens generally in the it's like when you start looking for something or you want something desperately, you start losing a little bit your focus. You get a bit fuzzy in your head. The stress level rise, don't they? Yeah, cortisol levels.
Even for grown-ups.
Yes, and you get agitated and you can't think clearly. And when you make the dua, everything calms down chemically as well inside.
Because you're thinking, okay, you're leaving it to Allah.
Yeah, and
right?
You're creating a channel as well between, you know, what you want to achieve and Allah, and Allah helping you, and your vision, your hearing, your actions, everything turn towards that thing all of a sudden much more calmly than before. And it's a beautiful thing to see.
I have one for you though. The other way, so I'll give you the example. The example is, a couple of years ago, my younger children, they wanted a cat, and they were trying to convince me in all kinds of ways. And I was getting stressed because, from previous experience, I didn't want a cat. Okay, and then I decided, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell them I wasn't being I was doing false. I was being genuine. I said, okay, listen, you make dua, right, to Allah. Oh, Allah, I want a cat. And if, inshallah, it's gonna happen, Allah will change my mind because I'm open. I'm not gonna say, oh, I had my reasons not to want a cat. But there's been times when you said no and your mind changed. So I said, leave it to Allah. You make your du'as that you want a cat, and inshallah we'll see what happens. And he'll cause me to change my mind. I'm open to it. Hey, I'm open to it. Because he'll put everything in place. All my objections will be corrected. So the past couple of months down the road, all of a sudden, before I say that, I had the objections were who's going to take care of the cat, and the food, the care. I had problems with the cat, right? Why I don't want to have a cat. And by a couple months down the road, they stopped asking, and I said, well, what happened? Oh, we decided we don't want a cat. Oh, because they were so passionate. We want a cat. Please come on. I said, okay, that answer was mine too. Leave it to Allah. He'll decide.
Yeah.
And somehow
they had to change
They had to think about what I said. If you want a cat, this is what I want from you. I can't do this 1, 2, 3. You'll have to do it. You think about it, you make your du'as, and let's see what happens. And now no one asks about having a cat.
It's really interesting because oftentimes we say, oh, I'd love this. Oh, I'd love to, I don't know, do an ultra marathon, Okay, right. Let's take you to your word. Let's set things in motion. Make your dua, that is, take your actions. And you realize, oh my God, no, that is really a little bit too big for me. Let's start with maybe a 5K, You realize it really helps you to focus, doesn't it?
They do say be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, it's a little bit, be careful what you make dua for. Yeah. So there's
some of the do's of making the dua. So remember we talked in a previous episode about SMART goals. So this could be applied to making dua. So
definitely.
You make a goal, and then you really want it, because part of Allah answering your dua is connecting to it and really feeling that dua. And that's why plenty of times when some duas are answered right away, it's because you were there. Oh, maybe when as a mom, because you make duas for your kids, your duas are so heartfelt. I mean, I've never cried for 100 pounds. Oh please give me 100 pounds. No, you say, oh please make my son on the right way. Bring this to him. Give him that good things. Iman and strength and all kinds of things, and you are heartfelt. So that's the important part of making duas. So you have what you want, a goal, and you have a desire, and you're really feeling it. Don't go to your dua with and by the way, Allah, please, do this and that. I want this. No, Allah wants connection with you, and you have to feel it, right?
Yeah.
And then you want to say what's the next step, Safiya?
Yeah, one very important aspect is to use a positive formulation. Often we say, oh, please don't, I don't want this, or I don't want to be ill, or I don't want, or cure my illness, but maybe turning into a positive by saying, make me healthier, or make me courageous, or make me fitter, stronger.
So aim for mention the positive of what you want, not the negative.
Yeah.
Right?
And generally speaking, you just have to also be very humble in everything. In what you ask, doesn't have to be oh, I can't ask for that big thing, because nothing's too big for Allah anyway.
Or small,
but be humble. You realize that because you're asking Allah, it's because ultimately we are quite limited in our impact, in what we can do, how we can have impact on things. Our sphere of influence as well is limited. Our impact on things. So by turning to Allah, it shows that you're humble. You say, oh, Allah, you have power over all things. I mean, if we go to the dua, the istikhara, the prayer of consultation, the dua of consultation, you are expressly saying, Allah, you know everything. I really don't know much.
There's some people who are scared to do istikhara because they don't want to know the answer.
Actually, this is an interesting point we can put into bracket, but I believe, my understanding is that it has to be to first of all, before you pray istikhara, you have to have made your decision. Okay?
Which way
between
you're
two things.
leaning.
Yes, exactly. I would like to. So, for instance, during the recent COVID travel restrictions with my family, we've been trying to go to France several times, and it's so expensive with the PCR tests and. At some point, I really had such a yearning to go. And it's interesting, it relates back to your change of heart idea. I had such a yearning to go. My children were like crying, literally tears of like, I really, really want to see our cousins, our grandparents be, you know, back in Alsace, and especially in wintertime, Christmas time. It's so beautiful. And so we said, okay, we have to, let's say, we go. Okay, that's it. That's it. We're going to pay for all this. We're going to go through the stress, because it's very stressful to travel at the moment with all the uncertainties, and you might be stranded there because you turn out positive. Who knows? But Allah knows. We decided to go, and we prayed istikhara, and we had decided to go, and that was the first step. This is what we want. We're going to set the wheels in motion to go. Allah, you know everything. You know if it's good for us, etc. Everybody knows the dua. If it's good for my life in here or in the hereafter, my risk and everything, and my faith, and it just didn't happen. But our heart was at peace with it, because we kind of said, this is everything we can do, all of the practical aspect of things we can do to reach that goal. But ultimately, Allah remove it from us if it's not good for us. And that's it.
And you didn't go.
But it's not kind of, oh, Allah, please give me a sign or a dream or something, because I really don't know. I'm swaying between the two. I want to go, but I don't want to go. Equally, no, you have to make a decision before you actually enter that process of dua. So I think personally that's quite a big thing. And personally as well, I find that sometimes people, I don't know people, I'm just saying, but like there might be a tendency or a temptation to make a bargain. Kind of, if you give me this, I'll give you that. Okay. So, oh Allah, if you give me, say you pray for a new job. Okay. So say, oh Allah, if you give me this new job, then I will do this every day. I will do this every week. Or I will, I will give such and such amount of money.
We do tend to do stuff like that as human beings, right?
It can be beneficial to motivate you to take action, okay? But at the same time, be careful, because you might be promising to do something that ultimately you might not be able to fulfill, or you might forget.
I've read over the years lots of convert stories, and some converts have like used such duas for because they didn't believe in Allah at the time.
Yeah, they were not. Yeah.
They will say, "Oh, if you exist, give me a sign," and then
I definitely
different
did that
answers to different duas, right? Like, and that is a big thing. Like, it's worth making that bargain.
But if it's not like
you.
Yeah, exactly.
I will try to be, do what you want me to, and then eventually they come to Islam. And there is stories like that, but I wouldn't use it for. Unless you're in debt or it's dire circumstances, it has to be something dire. Dire. It can't be floofy.
Okay, so I can reveal my dua, my if you exist then.
Did you? Okay.
Yes, I did it. And I was actually encouraged by a Muslim to do that dua, because I was not really looking into Islam. Oh, no, I was not looking into Islam at all. But I had lots of conversations with that Muslim about meaning of life, spirituality, the existence of God, who he is, etc. I was kind of aware he was Muslim, but that was about it.
Who was Muslim? The person?
Yeah, who was telling me about all this. We're debating this. It was at university, and but he was really telling me things about like.
He was trying to convince you about the existence of God, not through Islam, but
exactly
the entity of Allah.
Exactly. And he said, but what you should do is once you find yourself in a situation where you feel like you could have a little bit of help. So say it's like your exam and you whatever, just or whatever it is, you'll know the time. He said, you make that prayer. Said, oh Allah, if you exist, you're all powerful. Show me a sign that I cannot deny. Okay, so using obviously inspired by sort of that
So you
man.
actually did, mashallah.
And I was in a situation. I'll spare you all the details. Just go straight to the point. I was in a situation. I was with a group of friends, and we were in a big crowd. And I was just with one other girl, and we'd lost the rest of the party. And it was a person in that other group that had the car keys, and we were far away, like about probably an hour and a half drive, or an hour drive from our hometown, and it was very, very like big crowd. And I was starting to be really worried, and we were looking for them, and we thought, what are we going to do? How are we going to find them again? And at some point, I just remembered, let's try this. Like I'm taking my magic wand.
I'm desperate enough now to think of it.
It really felt like, I'm going to take my magic wand out of my pocket and see if it works.
Ooh.
But you know what? Before I did it, my heart started pounding because I thought, what if it works? That means I cannot deny the existence of God. So it was really, that's what I'm talking about, the bargain. Don't bargain something you're not going to be able. At that moment, I had to make the commitment that if it worked, I would have to believe in God without any shadow of a doubt. And so I did the dua. I said, oh God, if you exist, you're all powerful, you can do what you want. I want to find my friends, but I'm not going to make it easy for you. I said,
What?
seriously.
So European of you.
It's so
This
funny.
is so typical.
I know.
Yeah,
I said, I still laughed. That was like, what? 20, 30 years ago nearly. I said, I want to make it easy for you. You must make me find my friends right now. I'm going to, listen to that. I'm going to close my eyes.
Other people are going, astaghfirullah. How dare you talk to us
as a non-Muslim, you do.
But as a non-Muslim, yeah.
So I said, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to count to 3. And when I open my eyes, I want them in front of me. My heart was pounding. I tell you, it was crazy. Because I thought it was either it was going to work and I would have to commit to my promise, or it was not going to work and Allah did not exist. And that was scaring me a little bit as well. So we could say, actually, I probably believe in God before I even realized.
Your heart in, that was heartfelt.
Yeah, exactly. Completely.
It wasn't just
completely, goofy, exactly. Like, I was so focused. I remember it's like I went into my zone and it was like a big sort of, I don't know, everything became blurred around me. And I made that dua and I closed my eyes and I was just like, oh my God, I'm reaching 3 and what happens if it doesn't work? And then I opened my eyes and subhanallah, the crowds parted in front of me and there were my friends just in front of me.
MashaAllah.
It was just absolutely amazing. And yes, after that.
But how long after that? I mean, I know it's between that and your Shahada, how long was it?
Oh, let me think. That must have been about 3
3 years. But at least you started believing in Allah. You know, you started believing in Allah and started to see. Yeah. Allah exists.
Yeah, a year and a half something. It was in summer.
How do you
and I think I converted a year and a half later.
How do we deny it sometimes when
But it took about 8 years, university and discussions.
Yeah, but
from
still.
the first time I heard about the belief, about God and anyway. But these are other details. But it just shows, how you've got to be careful. You've got to be ready. You've got to be ready.
Big to us, but there's a price for everything.
Yeah.
You know?
So again, the other thing is, don't feel defeated. Isn't it?
It's inevitable that it won't be answered. You want and I want, but Allah wants, right? And it's up to Him to decide if it's good for us. So we have to have that feeling, not to get upset when things don't go the way we want. I mean, okay, we're human beings and we want what we want, and we do live in a time when almost everything is instant. But as a Muslim, you have to just pull yourself back a bit from situations and think, okay, if it doesn't happen, remove yourself from the result, right? One way or the other, because we believe as in Islam that if Allah doesn't give you what you want, He'll give you something even better. Yes, He will give it to you at another point, or He will make you feel like you don't care about it anymore. and you might get something even better. So you have to have that belief, and it will bring peace in your heart. If you attach it though to the result, your happiness, you're gonna have a lot of problems in life, because we just don't get everything we want. Even people you think will get it, rich people, for example, or I don't know, you see people on Instagram, perfect lives. Everybody has problems. You only see on social media the moments they let you see, right?
Very true.
So
very true. And I think it's also the that idea, as you said, that you may have answered it in another way. Sometimes it's good to look back, say a few months ago or a year ago or 5 years ago, how you were then. Like, wow, actually, yeah, I remember that time I was feeling like this and everything, and now I'm feeling so much better, and yeah, things have changed actually, and build up your confidence to continue to make the dua, to continue to be, to try and improve your mental well-being in different ways, with the dhikr, with and all of the other things, that other advice, like physical advice that we can give you, to change things that you can change your environment, change how you respond to things, to stresses, to microaggressions in life, to maybe difficulty with family members or co-workers or something, people in the streets, how you respond to those stresses, just to just improve yourself, because you have control over that. There's ultimately, by the conclusion about dua is really you have control over this, how you do things yourself, and the rest will just fall into place.
We don't control anyone except ourselves. Our mental health to a high degree is in our hands. Of course, we're not talking about people who are ill, who have issues with their mental health, they need a doctor. We're talking about just everyday disappointments, everyday sadness, and not people who are ill. Those people need to get help. Just like if you break your leg, you go to the doctor to set it. You have something happening to you in your body that's making you depressed, that it's beyond your circumstances. You need to go to the doctor. So we're not saying do not, treat it like, oh, you're a Muslim, you shouldn't be depressed, which we hear a lot. And that's not, that stops people from getting help, right?
Yeah, I mean, depression. We will have these are, because we're at the beginning of our series of shows. Really, we have so many topics we want to talk about. We will talk about depression. We will talk about hormonal imbalances and menopause, everything, how that impacts. Because sometimes we have the facade of depression, but behind there's so many reasons why you are like this, and it may not have to do with anything but imbalances in your hormones that you can try and redress. So just make sure you just tune in every Wednesday at 12 to not miss any show to learn about all this. There's something we'd like to talk to you just to finish off on this dua issue, Angela.
Well, me and Safiya are in the process of collecting stories of duas that were answered, the story of that happened to you, like we were just mentioning.
So the one I'm just saying.
Yeah, we are collecting them, and we're gonna put them in a book. We decided that we want to do a book form of such stories, and hopefully it will be, our intention is to help ourselves through this book, and anyone else, inshallah, that Allah wills, to increase our iman, to encourage people to do duas, not to give up. So that's the book we're planning. The duas that were answered, the prayers that were answered, right? And so we would really love everyone's input. We have an email that's prayers.answered.project@gmail.com, and we have a website called whenmyprayerswereanswered.com. If you need to remember them and you didn't have a chance not to write it down, then contact Heritage Radio, inshallah, and we'll get back to you. But we really hope to complete this project and be like, for us, something in our good books, inshallah, with Allah.
Amin.
And if it does work, we'll do more. If people like it and it's welcomed on people's bookshelves, we'll do more, because this is one of our aims in life, to do things that make Allah happy, and we're hoping this will be one of those things that we can do in our own capacity.
We have collected quite a few stories already.
I'm so amazed with some of the stories.
We want more, please, more stories, and you can sign with your name, full name, your pen name, initials. You can be anonymous. And if you're going to mention anyone who can be recognizable, change their name or try and make them less recognizable, or ask their permission to be mentioned. So again, you can email us at prayers.answered.project@gmail.com, and the website whenmyprayerswereanswered.com. We really appreciate it. Just on the last note, next week, inshallah, we will have the visits, hopefully, inshallah, if everything goes well. As you know, a lot of people are falling ill and sometimes things get changed, but this is our intention for next Wednesday. We'll have a guest from Transport from Greater Manchester, the Cycle and Stride team.
TGFM.
Yeah, and we're basically the Cycle and Stride team. They're going to talk to us more about cycling in Greater Manchester, the different programs that they have, and health, and be a bit more physically active. So we do hope that you're going to tune in again. It was a lovely conversation again, Angela. I love our explorations, and I hope you enjoyed it. Inshallah, we shall see you again.
Have a good week, everyone.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.